So this is what we're going to focus on today and only this, because again, I want you all to really understand the model itself. So first is on this side of the model, this is where your new ideas are. So think of it kind of like an entry point. So if you were stacking all your ideas on the left side, they would go here. And the way to filter your idea and get it to market with speed and success, you use this top layer here, the visionize, strategize, and mobilize. It's always about the VSM. That's what I really want you to take away. Like you can solve any problem in terms of should I keep pursuing this idea by VSMing it, by visionizing, strategizing, and mobilizing it fast. In my book, I create some scenarios that you can see that you can do this like in 5 minutes, just to really quickly move through ideas faster. Because part of the problem is we get attached to our ideas. Yeah. How many of you guys get attached to your ideas? I do. I get very attached. I'm attached. I got attachment issues. Okay. But it allows you to move through those ideas. So what is visionize? We're going to go from top to left, and then we're going to go from left to right through each piece of here. So visionize is really about how you want to reimagine life for yourself, for your clients, for your business. That's all that's about. The main question in the visionize section is I want to reimagine something. Something needs to be reimagined. Something needs to be re-innovated. Something needs to happen because the current state doesn't work. So that's what visionize is. Okay, I'll use my book because I'm going to use it because I'm literally in this, right? When I was doing this, I said, why this book first? Because I got rejected for this book 70 times. Why did I still fight for it? Because when I did my VSMing on it, visionize, I was like, I visionize a future where I don't have to explain this shit anymore. People actually have it in their hands, so I can actually focus on messaging, which I actually enjoy better. But this is always the root problem, is the people part. That was literally what I visionized to move this idea forward. Okay, what is strategize? Strategize is, what are the pathways that if I really want that to happen, I could go? And when we talk about a book, I could have said, I can go traditional pub, I can go self-pub, I can go hybrid pub, meaning like there's different ways to publish this idea for me. So then when I said, let's go beyond that, how do I want to be seen? And I was like, I want to be seen as somebody who is making people think differently, that is not just giving people tactics, that I'm helping people become their own best strategizer too. And if I want to do that, what do I have to do? And the answer was traditional publishing, even though it's the slowest route and the hardest, FYI. Very much the hardest and the longest, which is also fucking annoying, right? And I've learned very much set up to not help women win at being thought leaders. So what's good is because I've learned that now I have my new idea, even around Femfluence. I was like, oh, now this doesn't work. I'm going to fix it with the next iteration, right? So that's what strategize is. It's like, what are the pathways in front of me if I wanted to get to this future that I'm talking about? What are the pathways? Next is mobilize. What has to get done? And not at the top level, you guys aren't deciding on the micro tasks. You're going, what are the big chunky tasks? And if I looked at myself, am I the one that's best to do it? Which parts of that am I best suited for? What are gaps that I'm not suited for? Those are really your 3 big questions at the top layer. So next, so that's like the meta, you're a genius thinker that I need you to know. You're the genius. This is the meta thinking I need you to be thinking of every time you're processing your ideas. Because it is about the idea first. Because if you choose the people first, then they might be the wrong fit for the idea. That's why we have to get the idea done first. So that's what the navigate track is about. So that's this track right here, navigate, this lime greenish yellow track. And navigate means how we make decisions together and choose the right idea to pursue. Because I'm a strategizer. I think like an S first. You'll hear me call you S's, B's, M's, etc. Right? Like I'm an S, really strong S. And part of why I think my gift is that I can smell the money, why I pick winners. When I talk about winners, I'm talking about the products, like the services that'll win, is because I really am good at picking the right ideas. And when I say right ideas, I don't mean like ideas you don't pick are not right. I'm saying they might not be the first to pursue. I live under and I operate under that I can't have everything. And that's okay, but I can have anything. The pursuit of everything is killing us. So I'm like, what are my any things that I can do? And I will feel not just happy, but I'll make money because we're all business people here, right? So the first way to do that, so this is how you filter out your idea through the navigate track. So first you do what we call an idea storm. This is like, again, this is like first day of class at college, right? It's kind of like, here's the syllabus, and then here's like the overarching thing we're going to accomplish together because we need this first. So we know what we're doing. So the idea storm is even better than a brainstorm, because an idea storm is not just about your brain, it's about your gut and it's about your heart too. So it's all three working together to figure out. And I did say figure out because your brain and your gut, your brain, your heart, and your gut are all figuring things out. They say your gut, right, is your second brain because it thinks it has data in it, right? Your intuition has a lot of data that's actually real, not woo woo. It's just like actually real. Like, it is woo, but you know what I mean. I don't think there's any difference between woo and science. I think woo is a science. Okay, so anyways, idea storming is a practice by which you run your ideas without a filter, but using some there's a sub framework. Of course, you guys know I'm like a framework girl. It's like there's a sub framework to run your idea through so that you also don't feel resentful that you haven't been able to communicate ideas that you haven't been able to either do, or you've been hoarding it, or you've been keeping it close to your vest. And that's that piece of it. That's what idea storming is. And it's a great practice to do once a year and quarterly. And of course, anytime you have a new idea. But idea storming is really good to do as a practice as part of your like filtering out what are you going to focus on. The next piece is what we call the do it analysis. Don't let the word analysis freak you out. Remember, what are some of our founding principles here at Femfluence? Proximity, insights, and equity, right? We have to have the whole pie. And so insights are part of that. So analysis is part of that. And that's what makes us powerful when we understand what matters to making an idea work. So in my book, we talk about doing the do it analysis. And I just want to kind of pull it up in my book because, you know, I have a textbook now to do it, right? It's on page 11 of the book. The do it analysis is how you pass the sniff test that says, you know, all the ideas that you just did in the idea storm, will people actually buy it? Strategizing is about, will people want it, right? So visionizing is about, I think people want this, and I know I do, because that's the future I want to live in. That's what visionize is. Strategize is, will people want it? Will people actually want it? Because I know I want it, but will other people want it? Do you see the power in actually doing this exercise early instead of later when people are telling you to do a stupid customer avatar? Later, after you already spent all this money to like create the product and da-da-da. I'm like, no, you do it before you do anything, right? And so the do it analysis stands for, you can write it down. It's going to be, again, every week you're going to get all these definitions, but the drivers, the obstacles, the identity, and the triggers of your dream user of your idea. So your dream user has these 4 things that they care about: drivers, obstacles, identity, and triggers. That's do it. Once you've evaluated your idea through that, you move to be it. Let me just tell you, if your idea goes to do it and you cannot come up with a reason right now that they need it, your idea is put on the shelf and you should feel happy and peaceful about that. And I did say should, because we already got so many decisions. What's the number is like really crazy. Like how many decisions do our women have to go through a day? It's like in the hundreds of thousands or something daily. It's crazy, like our brain is processing. If it doesn't pass the do it analysis, it needs to go back and start over again because it's not something that people will buy yet. So then if it passes that, then you go to the be it analysis, which is on page 12 of my book. And be it, so think of strategize as revenue, sales, marketing, and think of mobilize as cost, operations, those types of things. So the be it analysis is budget, energy, integrations, and timing. So sometimes when we get to the B part, the budget, we're like, oh no, I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know, da 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 da. Well, I'm like, in my book, you have all the parts of that. But it's not worth doing a budget if it doesn't pass the do it phase. That's my point. Like, why bother? Why bother costing it out? We don't even know if someone wants it yet. You're going to have to prove that first to me for me to be like, yes. And we're going to do that with your idea. That's why I asked, starting next week, we're going to take your one idea through this model so that we can validate it and know who we need to help us make it happen so that we don't spend time, energy, and money on things we don't need. Again, we're in the primer phase of this university lesson today. Okay. We're not in the like doing any of this yet. All right. Let's move on to the more fun one. This is the one that, obviously everybody wants. How many of you, because now we're going to go pick our unicorns. So now we're going to evaluate, do we have not just the unicorns, but remember, you're the primary unicorn. And the premise of my book is that you can create all the time in the world. You know how we're all attracted to this, like, get more space, create more capacity. I want all those things. Yes, ma'am. Please give me more of that. But if you don't have the energy to actually do stuff when you have capacity, you're not going to move the needle, right? Does anybody resonate with that? That's why you are the lead unicorn first. You have to know what actually inspires you to make your idea happen instead of getting stuck on the vine. The only reason 97% of people don't have what the 3% have is because they actually get stuck on the vine. It's not because the opportunity's not there. It's not because there aren't people who can help you do it. It isn't because information is not widely available. It's because you've run out of energy, not out of time. And so I hope that the biggest takeaway from my book when people read it and use it, and I really mean use it, is that they learn that energy is actually everything. Like having the energy to move through hard things, because new things are hard. Am I right? Anything new, any change, there's some type of friction. It's also exciting, but there's friction. This next track is called Motivate, because it really is about self-motivation. And you actually want to know what the other people who are working with you are self-motivated by too. Because if you know where their inner fuel source is, you can spot it quicker when there's a breakdown, because there will still be breakdowns. No model will fix all your problems because humans are still humans and people go through stuff. And sometimes they're not telling you stuff that's happening. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, I'm doing all this work for my book launch, and it could be like on the day that they pick the 10 top books that they choose that week, like the editor could be in a bad mood. And I can't control that. Like literally that could happen. Just like your customers could be in a bad mood on any given day, right? You can't control the people, but on the people that you keep close to you, which are the unicorns, at least if you know what their energy type is, their energetic leadership type is, you're going to be doing okay, right? So there are 3 types of energy types, which is all based on visionizer, strategizer, and mobilizer. The visionizer types are motivated and fueled by ideas. They love their ideas, just talking about it all the time, talking to themselves about it, right? Anybody who will listen, I'm going to talk about my idea. I'm going to talk about my vision. I'm going to talk about the future. I'm going to talk about the things. And this is great because we need that energy, yes, in the world. The biggest problem, and what makes my book and this model different, is that because of social media, we have put what we call visionaries on a pedestal. We have said visionaries are the only important little, like, we should bubble wrap visionaries and the rest got to do the work. Okay. That is a dangerous way of thinking. It's actually keeping people small instead of actually realizing that if you actually are stronger energy wise in the S or the M types, you have every chance to be just as successful too. This is not about visionary versus integrator. Hey, I'm just going to throw all my shit over the wall and team, you take care of it and figure it out. My thing is, I wish that was true. And actually, it's not true for the most successful teams. It's not true of the most successful brands. It's actually not true. The leader, the original founder, does not separate themselves from the team. They understand that their role in the team is just as important as the others, and vice versa. This is not even about socialism. Okay. This is literally about what energy type are you? So I talk about in the book some of the most profoundly successful people that we recognize are actually not primary Vs at all. A lot of them are primary Ms and Ss too. Taylor Swift is not a primary V, right? I would argue Beyonce is not a primary V. Taylor Swift is actually a primary S, and Beyonce is a primary M. I mean, Beyonce is a Virgo, y'all. Like she is details all day. She is practice her moves every day. She is like meticulous. That's an M energy. And yet we've been told, right, as visionaries, you shouldn't do any detailed work. You shouldn't build your own funnel. You shouldn't write your own copy. You should delegate all that shit to somebody else. But what if you actually enjoy writing? Should we just give it away? No, that's actually going to fuck you up more. It makes you slower. That's what you don't understand. That's why what everybody's teaching out there is bullshit. I'm like, that's cute. Okay, so we're all going to just be fantasy people. That's what's going to work. And then we're going to all believe that they must have had something more special than me because all these people support them. No, friends, that's not what it is. It's that they're owning their primary fuel source, their energy. What do they get energized about, even if it's hard? Beyonce, if you watched her documentary, one like many of them, but the one that she did that profiled when she went to Coachella after she had the twins, that whole, if you guys watch that, and she said it was the hardest comeback. She was like, my body was so different. I didn't have the same energy physically. But what made her do it and still show up and be a badass? She was like, the only way that I know I can get through this is to be me. And that is, I need to get in the studio every day. I need to be obsessed with my work. But instead, what we do is then we go, oh, she's just a hustler. No, actually, she's in her best and highest energy, and that's why she's so successful. So why I also give a lot of this context as I explain things to you is because I know I have to unfuck your brains a lot. I need you to unlearn a lot of things that you've learned because it's so easy to write a book or to get on a stage or to sell a lot of products. And then all of a sudden, that's the way of life. And I will say that no, actually, from a psychological behavioral standpoint, which is my background, this is actually how it works. So you are a visionary if you are a founder. That's fine. But your primary energy might not be visionizer. It might be mobilizer and you're a visionary. Does that make sense? I want everybody to get that. These are also not people per se, meaning, oh, does this mean I need a visionizer, a strategizer, and a mobilizer on my team? No, you need to fill the roles that support your idea, but you want to test for, and the cool things, we have a test called the Unicorn Leadership Type Assessment, right? The ULTA, that helps you understand first your energy and you be able to explain your energy to anybody you bring on. I don't care if they're a contractor. I don't care if they're there for only like a project. You want to share your report with them and say, this is kind of how it energizes me when we're dealing with, disappointment, or we're dealing with a challenge, or we're dealing with a delay, right? As I said, visionizer energy is about the future, the world that I want to create, and you talk about it ad nauseum, and your ideas turn you on. Strategizer energy is we get turned on by results. Like, I love big ideas and I have a ton of them, but I actually don't, I get bored when people just keep talking about their ideas and they haven't told me how they're going to achieve it. Like, I'm just like, I love this idea. So, okay. So what's next? And they can't tell me because they're like, don't pee on my cornflakes here, Jen. I need, I want to be with my vision. For how long, girl? You need to make some money. Like, how long are you going to be with this vision? Like, so in a way, how I look at us in community, that all of us, is I'm your master strategizer. I'm the one who actually sees how the results can happen. And some of you are naturally like that too, but maybe because you've been told you need to be visionary, you've patted that down. Oh, and women really pat down strategizer if they're high in it because, we don't want to look too smart because we're going to really offend the men. So you got to be like, because women shouldn't be smart. They should be feminine. This is not about feminine or masculine energy. This is just energy, period. So that's why I like the VSM model, not just because I made it up, but I didn't make it up. This is truly my observation about who wins and who doesn't. It's this embodiment of this energy when they're bringing ideas to life. So strategizer is results driven. They are very clear that whatever idea that I want to be on, if I want to rally around a person or an idea, I need to see that I can actually make it work if I have high strategizer energy. Does that make sense? So for all of you, it doesn't mean you don't believe in a person. It means, can I make this idea work? It's not about belief. It's about, based on the way that my brain works and my heart works and my gut works, will it work? That's what strategizers get turned on by. Mobilizers love doing and they feel motivated by accomplishment. And accomplishment is different than result, because accomplishment is like, I got some shit done today and I got to inbox 0. And like, I like that I checked off all these boxes because I can't sleep at night unless I know all of my tabs are closed. That's the mobilizer energy. Now, by the way, mobilizer energy is also, as I said, Beyonce. She is successful through demonstration. So mobilizer isn't just like, how today it's like, oh, if you're a VA, that's like integrator, or like you need a VA or an OBM, you need to unlearn that. That role is typically kind of like in a mobilizer role, But anyone can have mobilizer energy as their primary, anyone. So Beyonce, Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart is an M because how did she create her brand? By demonstration, by doing. Here, look, this is how you should set your table. Look, this is how you should garden. Look, this is how you should put together a recipe. That's mobilization energy, not S or V, FYI. Think about it. Every morning she wakes up at 5 a.m. on her farm and tells everybody what to do still. And it's funny, right? Because society be like, oh, she's overworking. Oh, she's such a bitch. Oh, she's so bossy, right? No, actually, she's in her highest energy. I bet Martha gets bored when you just talk about your ideas all day. And then she's like, where's your checklist to get it done? Like, that's what Martha's thinking. Okay. You know what I mean? She's judging you for sure. Like, she's like, great idea. So what's next? Right? Mobilizers are like, I cannot allow you to be an open tab in my brain. So they just delete you. I cannot allow that. So by the way, if you have people on your team, and you should have people on your team, because most of you probably have a lot of V in you, which is totally normal for entrepreneurship. That's totally normal and it's awesome. All of these are awesome. That's the point I'm making. Then you know you need more M energy in your life. Am I right? You need people who really love the M. But the problem is that what you don't respect is that their M energy is just as important as yours. And the flip side is true. A lot of people with M energy, society has said, you're not as important as the V's or the S's. But there is no proof of that out. That's just a lie. Because I just told you Beyonce and Martha Stewart are M's. And so if you tell me they suck, you can't be in my group. We have to break up. Like no, seriously, that would be weird, right? But they are M's. And so are your best copywriters. So are your best coders of like SaaS product. Why do you think Steve Jobs, who is not an M, needed a Steve Wozniak? Because he needed a geeky dude who loved to code. Like that's what he needed. That's an M. So this way of thinking and understanding what motivates people, including yourself, because what I want you to know is some of you are Beyonce and Martha Stewart too, girlfriends. And I want you to own that as part of the way that you get excited to share who you are. Because somebody has told you you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be doing things. You're just supposed to be being things. You're just supposed to be like thinking, like dreaming. Yeah, if you got somebody else giving you money, that sounds great. But if you love M, you should be M. That's the whole point of this. Now, those are your primaries. There's a secondary motivation in you. And then there is what we call a linked motivation in you. So your secondary motivation is really the thing that helps support your primary. So I am an SV, a strategizing visionizer, and so is Taylor Swift. And that's why Taylor's drops are so smart. That's even like how when she like fought against iTunes and all the things that has happened around her, she's been very strategic. That doesn't take away the fact that she's a phenomenal performer. She is. So you'd be like, wait, but so she's not an M because she like put on that show. She does have M. We have all the energies in us. It's not that we have, it's not about that. It's about how does she lead? What makes her show up? Everyone in this room is either a VV, a VS, a VM, an SS, an SV, an SM, or an MV, an MS, or an MM. And then your linked motivation is the motivation that you need more of. Because you need more of it, you should be looking for that in the people that you hire, even on contract. Or if, like, for example, let's say you have maybe you're a Martha Stewart type, you're an MV. Martha's an MV, Beyonce's an MV. You need more S, right? But you also do need M thinkers to get stuff done, FYI. So it's not like, oh, I'm an MV, so I don't need more M's. No, you do need more M's. In fact, you appreciate M's because you're a primary M. The issue is that you probably don't translate it right because you're so anal retentive and controlling. You know what I mean? It's like, you must do it my way. And so they're like, okay, great, I'll do it your way. And you're like, you still didn't do it my way. Well, but I did exactly what you said. Well, I need you to think a little bit better because right? Because guess what? M's don't think, they do. S's think. V's dream. V's dream, S's think, M's do. So do you see it's about energy, not about like, oh, because I'm an MV, I don't need any other M's. Or because I'm an SV, I don't need any, I only need M's. No, it's about, hey, if you're a copywriter, I want you actually to be like an SM or an MS. I actually don't want you to be a V. I want you to get some shit done for me. Like, that's what I want. I'm going to say it. Some of you are going to be offended, but I love you. So it's fine. But that's why business coaching to me concerns me. And I'm talking about business coaching for tasks. That's what I mean. I'm not talking about business coaching for like strategy and vision. But if you're going to try to business coach a V into doing Instagram reels when they have no M in them at all, good luck. Like it just doesn't work. Do you see what I'm saying about that? Like I'm like, they're not going to do that. And no matter what you do, no matter how good your curriculum is, no matter how good you are at like embodiment and pulling shit out of people, if they are not energized by doing, they are not going to do it. And then they're going to think that you suck as a coach. And it's actually them because they shouldn't have hired you at all. Does that make sense? But you can now have the power too to know if you are a business coach teaching about LinkedIn, for example, and you are an MV, I'm making it up, and the people you work with will obviously have V in them because most people do that are founders and entrepreneurs. What you're going to be like, you're going to probably be looking for, do they have M in them too? Because it'll be better for you. If they're VV or if they're VVs, oh Lord, you're going to get so annoyed and then you're going to have to pretend you like them. It's a horror, you know what I mean? And that's why this stuff is so powerful, because it's not about the role or the skill. You have to hire for skill and capability, FYI, first. Of course, like you have a role for a person, like, hey, I'm launching a new product. I need a marketing funnel specialist for this project, right? They have to have the skills and capabilities, yes. But then you're going to be looking for, if they're high V, run away. You don't want no high Vs working on your funnels. They're going to keep iterating your shit. And nothing's ever going to work, but they have a process. Maybe they even came to Jen Kem's unique message model thing and they created a framework and you were impressed by it. But if they have V in them, it better not be their primary. It's okay if it's their secondary, maybe. But I don't want Vs working on tasks for me. I have enough V for all of us. I don't need more ideas. I need you to be, that's why I look for S's and M's for work that is really important, or where they have to like be clones of me, if you will. Like if they have to like help write copy for me and all that, I'm looking for an S and an M. I'm okay if they're an SV or an MV, but they cannot be a V primary. No way. And then let's say you have a VA who is just doing what I call task work, like really pure task work. An MM is perfect for that. They're still a unicorn. Keep them in their role. They love just getting things done, real rote tasks. They don't need to be creative, have no desire to be. But if you need a VA to write an SOP for you, that is not an MM. That is an SM or an MS. They need to be a little strategic, or else what are you going to do? You're going to just get pissed off, right? It's going to be like, do you understand? Like, I need you to kind of like go the next mile. Well, they can't. They're an MM. They're like the factory workers. They're the most at risk of being eliminated by AI and automation. But doesn't mean they're not unicorns. Guess who we want to be an MM, y'all? You know who I want to be an MM? Somebody who fixed my fucking plane before it flies into the air. I don't want a V. I want an MM mechanic. Get in there, make sure all the bolts are screwed on tightly before you fly me in the plane. You see, do you see? Like, and those jobs and those roles are incredibly important. And people want those jobs. Can you imagine our kids, these poor kids, they think that the only way that they're going to get rich or make any money in the future is that they have to be a content creator. How depressing is that? Like if I grew up in this world, I'd be like, I don't like being a content creator. Like I never will. I'm an S. Show me how content's going to give me a result faster. It will in the long term. That's why I can connect and link the effort. That's what the linked energy is about. Like, yes, I'm producing content, yes. But because it's not my primary motivation, I have to link that activity to my strategy, or else I don't want to do it. You see, it's like this delicious way to just kind of like do your thing. Like, and then you can't run away from yourself, which is great too. Because you'll be happier, I promise. You'll start to think like a Japanese person. Because Japanese, you've heard of ikigai, or like, your life's purpose from the very beginning. It's like, you'll start to actually see, whoa, I'm actually okay. Like I'm making the decisions because it makes sense to make the decision. So that's how the motivate work. And remember, that's why when I called it Unicorn Team, I know people are confused because they're like, oh, this is about how to hire people. Yeah, it is. But it's more about like, for every new idea you have, who do you actually have to have in that season? Who do you need to have? What communities do you need to be a part of? That's what motivate means. And people love a personality assessment, right? So I know the Ulta is going to get you all excited. If you took it already, tell me, because I'd like to see what you are. And here's the thing. Remember, this is about energy. This is not about effort. Let's all be clear. You will still have to put effort into things you don't enjoy sometimes, right? When you're doing something new, actually anything, okay, like period. But what you have to ask yourself is, if I'm doing this effort, am I at least doing it in my highest energetic output as an SV? So let me give you an example. I told you I hate being a content creator, right? I don't like creating reels. I don't like it. I hate it. I like creating content like this where I'm teaching or I'm guiding, right? This is the way I like to create content. And I'm like, team, figure out how to make this something people want. You see that? So I'm like, I need to create how I like it. I don't know if Jewel or Orit are here, who are my YouTube people. Jewel and Orit, they have this infinite content system. And it's cute because I love it. They're like, Jen, you are so dynamic. Like who you are when you're like with us in the Zoom room or in person. It's like when you do your YouTube videos, you don't fully seem like yourself. I'm like, don't be scared of me. I know I'm not myself. I feel so stupid when I'm in front of the mic. Ask them what my outtakes are. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so stupid. I look so stupid. Look at me. I don't feel like myself the whole time. But shoot, I told everybody they need to be on YouTube. So I got to eat my own dog food, right? So I got to just keep being on YouTube, right? But you notice how I was abandoning my energy by doing it that way. Instead of, I said, so Orit and Joel, like, how would you like to do it? That's why also when I used to do my YouTube videos, you will see I never changed my clothes. But my hair and my makeup look the same. It's so inauthentic. It's like, I can't be that way. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay in my clothes and I will do 10 videos. Because I am fancy lazy, but highlight the lazy part when it comes to doing videos, because I am energetically drained talking to a camera where there's not another person. I need like this energy of exchange. That's why when I'm with you guys like this, I'm lit up. This is really how I feel right now. If I am energized in any way, shape, or form, it's not just because I'm proud of the work that I'm teaching you. It's because you're in this room with me. Or Reet and Jewel were like, why don't we just do your videos like that? I was like, I can do that. I can just go on Zoom and then you guys can ask me questions and I could just say whatever the hell I like. And they're like, yeah, that's what actually people want to see and hear. I'm like, wow, let's do that. And I don't know if any of you guys saw my Jaguar rip, like rest in peace Jaguar thing, but that was on a Zoom room. That's my hair's up in a bun. I have no makeup on, but we were in that room. And that was the moment where I said, oh, great, because I have some things on Jaguar, the brand, that I want to talk about. And they're like, why don't we do it right now? I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that sounds fancy lazy to me, And now it's apparently doing very well. Well, it doesn't make, I'm like, of course it's doing well. I say the F-bomb like 70 times in the damn video, okay? People get entertained by cussing, okay? But just kidding. But I did have a lot of genius in it and talk through my strategic thinking around my little rants. But you see how we try to over orchestrate based on other frameworks that are mainly about doing, which are fine. So the doing, the steps that even Orit and Jewel would give me to do the YouTube video would remain the same. But I have to not abandon myself in the doing. I'm like, these are the appropriate steps to do things, but I can change out the mechanism. Like I don't have to hire a video crew. I don't have to write scripts for it. I don't have to whatever, because the other thing about S's, especially, we are the brainy ones. And I say that again this is all based on psychology. It's not just based because I wrote it. And because we're the brainy ones, we're like, of course I know what I'm talking about. We do have a little bit of ego around it. So that's that piece there. So let's go to the last track. And that is, how do you communicate? Now that you know your idea, and now that you know the energy that you come to the party with, and you've identified the roles that you need to make that idea come through, how do you communicate it? Because most things can be solved through communication, right? But we avoid communication because we think communication also equals conflict. Well, I'm like, guess what? This book will help you avoid more conflict, because if you do this up front, you're going to be good. So now that you get your idea, you got the players that you have in mind, you use these 3 tools in the book. The broadcast, which is how you communicate the idea in a way that everyone can get on board. A stratagem, which is your campaign plan. How are you actually going to bring this idea to market? What's the storyline you're going to tell? What's the theming? What's the mechanic to get the product to market? That's what the stratagem is. And then the prototype is the tool that allows your team to ask you one important question. And that important question is this what you meant? Write that down. Is this what you meant? Prototyping is all about giving them the opportunity early to ask you, is this what you meant, by showing you that they did the work in a draft form. But you can't do prototyping well if you only either do it once or you do it too late in the marketing of the idea, right? All of us have done that. But when you do this, you are going to bring your ideas to market faster. You're also going to find out if they're worth doing again faster. And there's a lot of value in that.